So Israel finally caused another irresponsible and reckless escalation as the rogue regime of Netanyahu, backed by the US, the UK, the EU, Canada, and Australia, once again launched several rounds of dangerous military strikes on Iran, a sovereign nation. This is what the Western backing of a rogue regime has done: emboldened settler colony of Israel, created on stolen land, to attack sovereign countries with impunity. And how do the Western countries react? They shamelessly justify the Israeli act of transgression with a warning that Iran must not respond. Even though Israel has breached international law by attacking a sovereign country, but Iran must not respond. The rogue regime of Israel can do anything. They can keep attacking countries after countries with impunity. They can keep slaughtering innocent men, women, children, and babies. But there should never be any retaliation. There should never be any consequences. That is a definition of Western civilization. Kill as many innocent people as possible. Destroy as many cities and countries and regions as possible. But how dare you talk about fixing accountabilities for those crimes? They are crimes only when they are being committed by the enemy of the West. Western countries can do anything. They can continue to shame humanity, but that's kosher. You must not raise any questions on that. You only have to listen to this shameless British Prime Minister, Keir Starmer. I thought this Starmer chap was the Prime Minister of the UK, supposedly a sovereign Western country, which also happens to be a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council. But no, his statement would make you feel that he's just a slave to the settler colony of Israel. Listen to him. Israel has the right to attack, but Iran doesn't.
I am clear that Israel has the right to defend itself against Iranian aggression. I'm equally clear that we need to avoid further regional escalation and urge all sides to show restraint. Iran should not respond.
I mean, when did the UK become an occupied territory of Israel? Would you have expected such blatantly shameless language from any British Prime Minister, including Tony Blair, a warmonger whose decision led to the invasion of Iraq and the slaughtering of over 1 million people? But I doubt that he would have openly flaunted his crime as shamelessly as Keir Starmer is doing these days. This chap is not even pretending anymore. Why does Israel have an ambassador in the UK when it has truly captured the whole country? Does Starmer not know who the aggressor is? Who started the escalation by attacking the diplomatic facility of Iran in Damascus? Who was in breach of international law by attacking Iran's sovereignty and assassinating Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran, where he was visiting as the state's guest? What Iran did on 1st of October was a mere retaliation to all those transgressions by Israel. This fact must always be highlighted because the compromised politicians of the West and their propaganda media outlets will do their best to bury this context to save their embarrassment. This is what the BBC reported. I mean, look at the utter dishonesty of this BBC anchor, Martin Croxall. Also see her desperate attempt to describe Israeli attacks as a success. She picks up visuals and asks her viewers to look closely to find evidence of the damage caused by Israeli airstrikes.
Well, BBC Verify has been analysing social media footage that's coming out of Iran and will continue to do so throughout the day. Well, here's some of those images. These were posted on X earlier today, and we've confirmed these photographs of the flames and heavy black smoke are rising from the Hazrat Amir air defence base south of Tehran. This video was posted on X in the early hours, and if you look closely, you should just be able to about see a black smoke rising from a military base that's east of Tehran.
Wonder why she had not shown such loyalty to her profession when Iranian missiles were causing widespread damage in Israel. on 1st of October. No wonder more and more people are now calling out the BBC's propaganda in favor of Israel.
Nothing started in Tehran. We have to remember in the past, the Israelis and the Americans carried out a major cyber attack on the Iranian nuclear program. Then they assassinated scientists. A colleague of mine at the University of Tehran was one of them who was murdered in front of his wife. Then they murdered a number of Iranian officers in Syria who were fighting against ISIS and Al-Qaeda. But the current chapter begins with the Israeli attack on the Iranian embassy in Damascus, which, by the way, the UK, the US, and France supported at the UN Security Council. And so Iran had to respond.
Just to be absolutely clear, trying to put a line and say this is where this latest round started, you can always go back a previous event. The Israelis would point to Iran's proxies in the region, the actions of Hezbollah from the 8th of October onwards, indeed Hamas's action as well. It's very difficult, as you know, to pick one event when you're trying to orchestrate your way through a tit for tat. There are analysts in the region who have said this strike was limited enough a response to the previous strike from Iran to allow a de-escalation. Do you think that's going to happen?
I think the BBC is pro-Israel, so obviously that's what you're going to say. No, that's not how it started. If we're going to go back to where it started, it began with the colonization of Palestine and the displacement of the Palestinian people and the periodical slaughter that we've been seeing over decades.
As it emerged, Israeli military strikes turned out to be a damn squib. Such was the desperation that Israeli Defense Minister and war criminal Yoav Gallant had to release a photoshopped image of himself to show the fake damage caused by Israeli airstrikes. I have uploaded these visuals on my Telegram channel. You can subscribe to my channel, details on the screen. No wonder Israelis became a butt of jokes on social media, as Iranians began to post memes on social media to mock Israel and its so-called military prowess. Remember the damage that Iran has caused to Israeli air bases and areas in the close proximity of the Mossad headquarters? I had uploaded a video on this. You can watch it here. This was despite the so-called American Iron Dome. In comparison, the damage caused by Israeli airstrikes in Iran was negligible. Of course, there are reports of damage to Taksas factory in the Shamsabad industrial district and the death of 4 Iranian soldiers. But what came to help Iran in destroying Israeli projectiles was its air defense system provided by Russia. According to reliable sources, Russia recently delivered S-400 Triumph air defense missile system to Iran, along with its personnel. Yes, there are hundreds of Russians reported to be in Iran operating these air defense systems and even training their Iranian counterparts. And not to forget that Russia had also provided Iran S-300 PMU-2 systems in 2016. As expected, Iran has vowed to retaliate, and why not? No sovereign country will tolerate attacks from other rogue regimes unless you happen to be the rulers of the Arab countries. Sheikhs are born slaves. Slavery comes naturally to them. So it's okay. But I don't think Iran likes to identify itself as one of those spineless and autocratic Arab regimes. The question is, who is to be blamed for this dangerous military escalation in the region? We all know who the culprits are. If the rogue regime of Netanyahu is acting in this fashion, it's because it's been assured of zero consequences by the West. Establishing colonies around the world, enslaving people, causing large-scale massacres, and using famines and starvation as a tool to punish your enslaved population have been the hallmarks of the Western civilizations. I come from India. My forefathers had to bear the brunt of these brutalities caused by the British Empire. But we thought that that was then, and these Western countries had dumped their disgraceful past. But no, the West is simply renewing its shameful traditions with the help of Israel now. This is the moment of collective shame. This should be the moment of collective shame for the West, both for its criminal past and present, filled with stains of bloods of innocent men, women, children, and babies. That's it from me. Thank you very much for your support of this platform on buymecoffee.com and Patreon. If you do think that this platform and its journalism is worth supporting, then you too should consider becoming part of it. In the meantime, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so, because that's one of the many ways you can support independent journalism. God bless you all.